Hello and welcome to the taster lesson for Hearts and Essex A-Level Geography. I am Mrs Abbott, Subject Leader for Geography. Today is designed to give you an overview of what Geography A-Level is like and what you can expect to experience over the next 2 years at Hearts and Essex. If you have any questions as we go through the information, please feel free to email me. The Geography Department is made up of 3 full-time members of staff, all of whom are geography specialists. I'm the subject leader and specialise in physical geography, but have taught A-level human geography too. Ms Patel is the human geography specialist alongside her pastoral work, and Mr Mitchell also specialises in physical geography. Over the course of years 12 and 13, you are likely to have a combination of 3 of us teaching you. Geography A-Level is an exciting opportunity, and whether you decide to take geography or a related discipline beyond A-Level or not, it will give you the opportunity to understand how the world and the people that live in it work. As you go through life, having geography A-Level will give you an insight into how people and places are connected, whilst questioning impacts on the environment, why people act in the way they do. The syllabus is designed to include up-to-date theories and ideas which have shaped people on the planet for many thousands of years and will continue to change the way we live our lives in the future. Fieldwork is an important feature of A-Level Geography. Who wants to sit in a classroom for 2 years and not explore the great outdoors? All of you will have the opportunity to go on a 5-day residential, and your coursework can take you as far as your imagination allows. Geography A-Level equips you with skills for study, work and life. It is a must-have A-Level for now and the future. As you'll be able to see on the screen, at Hearts and Essex we use the OCR exam board for geography. It does not matter which exams you have done at GCSE, we are quite used to adapting lessons for students from a variety of backgrounds. There are 4 main elements to the A-Level, 3 exams, 1 piece of coursework. The whole course is designed to give a balance between physical and human geography. As you will see on the screen, there are 3 exams, 2 of which are an hour and a half, and the final one is 2.5 hours. The independent investigation, often known as coursework, is worth 20% and is based on 1 project that is completed in your own time. The main physical geography exam includes 2 topics, glaciation and earth-size support systems. Glaciation is often a brand new topic for most students, and it gives you the opportunity to understand how ice has influenced our past, present and future. Earth-size support systems is based around the water and carbon cycles, integrating the idea of how the Earth tries to remain in a natural state of equilibrium, whilst considering how people are influencing this delicate system. In particular, we will study the rainforest and Arctic tundra to address changes to the planet. As you will see from the questions here, the physical exam is made up of a mixture of shorter questions, some of which are data-based, and a longer 16-mark question. Don't worry if there are terms that you do not understand on this page, you haven't started studying yet. At Hearts and Essex we make sure you not only understand the content of the exam, but also how to answer the different styles of questions. The main human paper is based on 1 core topic and 2 shorter option topics. Changing spaces, making places gets you to consider what the meaning of a place is and how this changes. It will bring in ideas about different types of environment and how both people and the economy can influence these places. Questions on how places mean different things to different people will be relevant here. For the optional topics, we have chosen to look at global migration and human rights. Both of these topics allow for passionate discussion about the way the world works, and this often inspires students to consider their role within the world. We have had students who are determined to build a career in human rights as a result of this topic. Watch out for Hearts and Essex at future UN talks. In a similar way to the physical paper, the human paper is formulated from a variety of short answer questions and an extended 16-mark question. Again, on the screen you can see some examples of the types of questions that you could be asked. The Geographical Debates paper is the opportunity for you to share your opinion about contemporary issues based on research and discussion. Although there are several options to choose from, the school teaches hazards and the future of food. If the other topics inspire you, there is the opportunity for you to complete independent study or base your coursework on one of the other topics. This paper is about you fully understanding how the world is a connected place and knowing real examples of where geographical issues are relevant. The first section of the paper is short questions that are used to test your knowledge and understanding of the topics that have been studied. The second part of the paper is a 12-mark synoptic question and gets you to explore the connections between two topics from anywhere on the A-level syllabus. For instance, the question here gets you to consider how the water cycle, from Earth's life support systems, is connected to the globalisation of the food industry. Thinking in a synoptic way allows you to analyse ideas and broaden your perspective. The last part of the geographical debates exam is an essay, one for each topic, which allows for the evaluation of an idea and an evidence-based conclusion. For these essays, it is essential that you have knowledge of places and processes, but can also form an opinion to show a particular point of view. We will spend time in both years 12 and 13 developing this set of skills with you. The final element of the A-level is the coursework, or NEA. This is a project of your choice that is started at the end of Year 12 and completed by the spring of Year 13. It is an opportunity for you to collect data, analyse what it shows and compare it to previous research. The school will give guidance on suitable investigation techniques. We usually take Year 12 to Malham in the Yorkshire Dales, usually around March time. This is a brilliant opportunity so students not only get to experience practical techniques but also get to know one another really well. Last year, after it was announced the country was going into lockdown, Year 12 could be heard saying, "Can we go back to Malham? The house in the picture is the main building at the centre and the lake will be the view you have at breakfast every morning." We use the OCR endorsed geography textbook. You are more than welcome to buy your own copy of this. The hard copy is around about £35, but we can also loan you one in school. Alternatively, there is an e-copy available for a small charge. And we also have copies of Essential Math Skills for A-Level Geography in school. The library is well stocked with various different resources that can help you to investigate independent ideas and further your reading. The rest of this video contains some tasks for you to try out. They are not designed as a test, but to get you thinking as an A-level geographer. Once you have read the task, pause the video and have a go answering the questions. Once you've completed the task, you can unpause the video and the answers will appear. The first task is from the hazards section of the geographical debates paper, and I would like to think about whether this is a human or a natural disaster that you can see in the picture. The questions on the right hand side can be used to structure your thoughts and ideas. On this slide is some suggested ideas about the photo and the question you have looked at. If you have an answer that is not listed, then it doesn't mean it is not valid. The question is based on your opinion and therefore most ideas will be valid. You can see from the information that this photo was taken after the 2008 earthquake in Sichuan, China. In order for this to be a human disaster, people need to be affected in some way. You can see that the buildings have collapsed, which will have a severe impact on the people living in the area. It is estimated that up to 11 million people were made homeless after this earthquake. There was also over $125 billion worth of economic cost. This was one of the most deadly earthquakes to ever occur, with about 87,000 people losing their lives. So you can see that it can be argued that it is a human disaster, but it can also be considered to be a natural disaster. The earthquake was a natural hazard which had a human impact caused by movement between the Eurasian and Indo-Australian plates. The ground shook violently. It was a magnitude of 7.9 on the Richter scale, and this led to landslides. Approximately 25% of deaths were a result of the landslides. 34 quake lakes formed when rivers were blocked by debris from the earthquake, which put the area at risk of flooding. The ground shaking, the landslides and the debris are all natural and could not be stopped, making this a natural disaster. But ultimately, as people are living in the area, either through choice or through lack of choice, it turned into a human disaster too. It is hard to separate the human and natural world, so to what extent is a natural or human disaster is dependent on your own opinion. On this slide is another task for you to have a look at. It is based around the Changing Spaces Making Places module and gets you to think about an environment that may well be quite familiar to you. We are looking here at a local park. This might be a park in Bishop Stortford, or it might be one that you are more familiar with. What you need to think about is, how do you feel about this place at the moment? And then have a reflection on how you felt about the local park when you were younger. How has this changed? Is it different for a child being in the park compared to an adult? Who has responsibility for that space? What things are you aware of now that you weren't aware of when you were younger? If you were made to go to the park late at night, how would you feel? Would it depend on who you're with? Would it depend on your age? Would it depend on your gender? What about your religion, your sexuality, or even your race? Pause the video, jot down your ideas, and then restart it when you're ready to listen for feedback. So, in terms of feedback about the local park, having discussed this with lots of students, lots of them talked about remembering the park as a child, as a place of enjoyment, for entertainment, for fun, to allow them to do physical activities without too many cares or worries. It was certainly a place that they went to and enjoyed. Now that they're older and reflecting on how young adults will use the park, it tends to be used much more as a place to meet friends, maybe just pass through it to get to somewhere else, and not necessarily as a place of entertainment. Young adults tend to be a little bit more aware of some of the dangers associated with being in a park. For instance, any unsocial behaviour that might occur, particularly outside of daylight hours. Talking to students, they've also thought about the fact that they might start using the park again as they get older and their circumstances change. If you become a parent or looking after younger children, you might be aware of going back to the park and using it in a similar way that you did when you were a child. However, you'd need to be much more conscious of what else could be happening. You might be summing up who else is in the park, thinking about potential dangers, from the small inconveniences of, where is the nearest toilet for a toddler, through to what happens if someone with bad intentions enters the park. In terms of the difference between day and night, it might depend on who you are. It may depend on if you have been to the park at night on your own or not. It may also depend on things like the media and how they represent the park. If it's painted as a place of safety that anyone can enter at any time of day or night, you may have very positive feelings about it. But if it doesn't have that positive feelings, if it's marked as a place of danger, possibly with people drinking or even taking drugs, it can have a very negative connotation. The media, films, people talking, social media, local news can all represent places in different ways. And Changing Spaces Making Places gets you to recognise how some of these opinions can bias your own opinion about a particular place. Geography A-level gets you to think about local places, but you can also think about unfamiliar places and think about how you are thinking about those places and what has influenced your decisions and your perceptions about how and when you use that space. Having a look at this image, we might think about who might use it and what reasons might have led to this space being created. This is based in Manchester, and it's a place for nightlife. You can see from parts of the pictures that it did have old industrial uses. Old factories have been converted into modern bars and places for people to socialise. It's well lit with fairy lights in the tree, but it is also quite welcoming to a particular group of people, the LGBT community. You can see here that they have used "Welcome to Manchester's Gay Village" as a sign and used the rainbow flag to welcome lots of different types of people. Having this symbolism up in an area makes it a much safer space for people. If that sign wasn't there, maybe certain groups of people would not feel comfortable about visiting this space. Again, changing spaces, making places is about thinking about different groups of people and how they think about space and what can influence whether they feel safe, whether they feel welcome, and whether they would want to visit an area. It will also be based on the decision makers that have manipulated and changed this space. Why has an old industrial area been converted into nightlife? What does it say about an economic situation? What does this say about the type of environment that is wanted to be created by Manchester's decision makers? All of these things can form part of the human A-level geography syllabus. On all final thoughts, we recommend that all A-level geographers do some reading before they take on A-level geography. You don't have to sit down over the summer holidays and read particular books or particular articles. The main thing is that you are interested in the world around you, but we would highly recommend that you do some reading. In terms of books and resources that we have available, the list could be endless, so you really need to find what interests you. On the screen is one particular book that we often recommend. It really does get you to think about how physical and human geography are connected with one another. Tim Marshall is a geopolitical writer, and he has written the book on screen, Prisoners of Geography. The book is based on 10 different places around the world, and it gets you to think about the connection between economic and political decisions, but how they have been constrained by natural processes that dominate the earth. It is a book that you can dip in and out of, either focusing on one particular area, reading the introduction, or revisiting it at a later time. This book was published quite a while ago now, and recently Tim Marshall has updated the book with new places in a book called Powers of Geography. I can highly recommend this, particularly if you want to think about some areas of the world that might not be quite so familiar to you. In Powers of Geography, there is even a chapter on outer space and how perhaps the way we manage the planet at the moment could be manipulated and changed as we explore further beyond the Earth's atmosphere. If you would like any other information about Geography A-Level, you are more than welcome to contact me either by email or speak to me in September. I hope today has been useful. Sorry I haven't been able to meet you in person, but really look forward to meeting you in September. Thank you.